Much has been said about the Lord Maitreya, and I would like to clarify some of the confusion on that subject. The word Maitreya comes from the Sanskrit Maitri, which means loving kindness. That's the quality of loving compassion. That term was used by Sakyamuni Buddha prior to his death when he said that many other Buddhas had existed before him. Now, Buddha, the term Buddha simply means awakened one, so obviously there have been many awakened beings on the earth prior to 500 BC, which is around the time of the historical Buddha that we know about. He also prophesied that future Buddhas would walk the earth. And he said another Buddha would come after his death, who would be the embodiment of Maitri, or loving kindness. And he said that Buddha would be even greater than he was. Now, who was that historical person? There was a being who walked the earth from around the year 0 for a period of, we don't really know how long, let's say 60, 70 years, whose name was Apollonius of Tyana. He was of Greek parentage, raised in an Issaean community in Tyana, present-day Turkey. He was a great student of the inner mysteries and a being who manifested that quality of loving compassion or divine love. He traveled twice to India. In those days, that took a considerable amount of time, but he followed the ancient Silk Road that went all the way from Europe to China. In India, he encountered Buddhist teachings and studied at a number of Buddhist monasteries. To this day, there are many records of a being fitting that description who visited India and studied with the Indian masters. It's interesting to know that there are records in India of the avatar Krishna. Now, what's interesting is Krishna, when you say that name in Bengali, one of the languages of northeastern India, it's pronounced Christ. And when those stories of that Krishna being, that avatar or divine incarnation, reached the West, in Greek, that being was described as Christos. Now, Emperor Constantine, needing a religion to unify the eastern and western parts of the Roman Empire, wanted a religion that all could follow, that would bring together both the Eastern spirituality and the Western pagan spirituality. There happened to be a pagan god by the name Jesus, and so he combined that term Jesus with the Eastern term Christos and came up with Jesus Christos, or what we call today Jesus Christ. The stories you read about in the gospel, many of them actually were things that took place in India and were the activity of this being Apollonius of Tyana. After Apollonius returned from his first visit to India, he had reached a very high level of mastery, and he gave those teachings, those Buddhist teachings, wherever he traveled. He visited many Issaean communities, some along the Dead Sea. That being, who went by the name Apollonius of Tyana, or as he may have been called in India, Issa, or Jesus Christos, or Jesus Christ, is available to us today as one of the great members of the spiritual hierarchy of the earth, who is transmitting that essence of divine love to humanity, and which love is open to all who can still their minds and open their hearts. So that's the great privilege we have today, to invoke that being within ourselves, regardless of the name that we use. May the blessings of the Christ, the Lord Maitreya, be with you now and always.